On Wednesday, the City of Cape Town Council approved Mayor Patricia de Lille's budget as tabled at nearly 48 million rand. But opposition were having none of it, with the EFF saying the budget didn't cater for the poor. The budget vote came ahead of next week's court matter challenging her expulsion from the DA. She, of course, has been reinstated as mayor, temporarily pending the outcome of her bid. It also came a day ahead of a council decision to make Ms De Lille's position just ceremonial. So she joins us now in our parliamentary studios to talk a little bit more about some of these developments. Mayor De Lille, thank you very much for joining us here on the programme.
Good morning.
There was a little bit of confusion as to whose budget you tabled on Wednesday, particularly that it was not your signature on the document. Was this your budget?
Well, first of all, Leanne, the drought that we are experiencing in our country had a severe impact also on our budget. And therefore, you know, some of the tariff increases were higher than before. But we did make provision also for a social package of relief within our budget. The budget contains, the budget is about 47 billion rand. And the water increases, we've been able to reduce that from 26% to 19%, and also to reduce water consumption rates from 55% to 10%. So we have tried. Yeah. We, of course, had to reassess our budget. We had to reduce our water program for the next 5 years so that we could free up some money. But the provision for poor people and the most vulnerable in our city is that if you live in a house with a value of less than 100,000, you qualify for 100% rates rebate, but you also qualify for 10,500 litres of water free per month, yeah, and 7,350 litres of water for sanitation. Similarly, there's also a rebate on electricity. If you use less than 250 units per month, you are then able to get 60 units free per month. And then we've got a special provision for pensioners and for people with disability. If the joint income in the house, not the value of the house, the joint income of the house is less than 15,000, you also qualify for some rebate. So we did try and find a balance, okay, between the tariff increases and protecting the poor people. So I'm happy that the budget is pro-poor, yeah, and that we now just have to implement it.
Okay, so this is very much so. And if I may ask the question again, your budget, is this your budget?
The budget goes through a process of almost 8 months before it's finally presented.
Okay.
Legislatively, you must establish a budget steering committee that consists of myself, the deputy mayor, mayoral committee members, and the executive directors. And we have to consider requests from various departments until we get to a stage where we can say, okay, this is only what we can afford. We have, for instance, also reduced our rates from 7.2% to 6.5%, and it's finding that balance, because National Treasury want to see that whatever you're going to spend, that you have an income for that. And our budget has been to National Treasury, and they are satisfied that the budget is sustainable over the next financial year.
Okay, let's move on to another development that came out yesterday. Yeah. This, of course, came after the budget, and I'd like to quote you on this one because I've seen something quite interesting. Once again, saying you, to quote Mayor Patricia de Lille, saying the Bas Cup mentality in the DA City Caucus has plunged to such depths that the latest move to reduce her powers feels like carrying a passbook. Is that how it feels? The ceremonial duty of yours? Is that pretty much so adequately explaining how you're feeling right now?
Leanne, you know, up till today, I've not been found guilty of anything through disciplinary procedure or any structure. In fact, it is the High Court in Cape Town that in more than 2 occasions ruled in my favor. And so I just felt that the latest move to strip me of my executive powers, besides that I feel is unconstitutional, it's really gone down to the lowest level. And, you know, like I quoted Michelle Obama yesterday, you know, when they go low, you go high. And now I've been reduced to having to ask for permission, for instance, if I must go and speak to a community. I now have to get permission if I want to call meetings. And that really, to me, is the boss cop mentality, where you have to get permission to do what you've been elected to do.
Yeah.
I've had over 25 meetings with the communities this month. I have to go and report back to them. Now I have to go and ask for permission to be able to do so. And that is what I say, that is the boss cop mentality of certain people within the city of Cape Town. So the powers has now really been vested in the speaker, that I must also go and ask permission to, who's never worked all his life in our communities. And then also where we don't have consensus amongst the MACO members, you have to call a council meeting. So it is going to impact severely on service delivery. And I reminded my colleagues yesterday that service delivery takes place on the street and not in boardrooms.
Yeah. So basically, in a nutshell, what this means is that at all of your powers, whatever decision is taken, has officially been reassigned. You basically are there to just wear the chain, and everything has to be passed by another committee, whether it's local travel, international travel, whatever is said, whatever is done. So in effect, you have absolutely no power.
Let me explain to you, for instance, I've got a marital fund, and I receive a lot of requests for burial assistance and funeral assistance for young kids. And normally I have to do that as quickly as possible. Now I have to call a marital committee meeting to ask them and to get consensus that I can assist a young child that is passed on and the parents need assistance with the funeral. That is how petty it has become. So, you know, we will have to call a lot of marital committee meetings. We will have to call a lot of council committee meetings, and that is going to delay and impact on service delivery.
So this is now coming ahead of the continuation of the court case that the DA wanting to terminate your membership within the party. You won round one of that one. Now, of course, it's going in once again into the court, but this is now added onto it. Is it going to change the dynamics at all? Are you going to have to go in and add more challenges towards the DA after this decision yesterday?
First of all, I have never behaved as if I am bigger than the party. But the party should also remember that the party is not bigger than the courts, and that we are all equal before the law. And because that's where I put my faith, where I hope I can finally find a justice. Yes, I will be going back to court Monday and Tuesday next week, and I will abide by the outcome of the court. But that is the extent to which I had to go to make sure that I find fairness. Because, you know, the one value of the Democratic Alliance is fairness, and we need to be fair to one another. And I hope that the courts, that is the place where I can state my side of my version. And I'm very positive for a good outcome.
Indeed. Just a final question as we wrap this up. Even the judge, while delivering his judgment in your first application, saying that he was genuinely concerned about the harm that this is doing to the people of Cape Town. I mean, you yourself have just mentioned now to just get something for a budget towards a funeral is now taking forever, something that you could have normally done. I mean, the people of Cape Town are really struggling with this. Have you heard from them? How is it hampering the day-to-day runnings of things?
When the same judges reinstated me as the mayor on the 15th of May, I made an appeal to all councillors that let us put Cape Town first, let us put the people of Cape Town first, and let us rise above our political differences and do not exercise our differences at the expense of the people of Cape Town. I want to assure Cape Town that I will still continue to do my best, because that is what I've been elected to do, to serve the people of Cape Town, and that we have to work through this episode. But this is now my analogy of a boxing game. The next round will be on Monday and Tuesday.
Okay, let's leave it there. Thank you very, very much for being with us. That, of course, is Patricia de Lille, Mayor of Cape Town in the Western Cape, and joining us on my SABC Parliamentary Studios.